Hi there, welcome back to BEC preliminary course. How are you doing? Now, last time we learned how to describe charts and graphs in English and how to predict a country's economic performance by studying the economic indicators. And in today's class, we're going to continue talking about company performance. We're going to break today's class into two. First of all, we're going to learn how to describe a company financial performance and the reasons behind the success. And then we're going to learn how to present a company's financial performance in a presentation. Okay then, let's get today's class started. Now, before we talk about the financial performance of the company, let's first of all take a look at your personal finance. So here, let me ask you this question. How do you manage your personal finance? What banking services do you use? Great job. Now, I'm sure this is a topic that all of us have something to say, because as adults, we do face the issue of managing our own finance. Some of us are pretty good at it, but some just let it flow. But no matter how good or how bad you are at managing your finance, there are some banks that you have to deal with, right? Now here, let's take a look at the logos of China's big high street banks. So here, high street means 主流的. Okay, here are the logos. So, do you know all of these logos? And can you identify each of the banks? Let's have a try them. Okay, great. Now, on the right, we have the names for the logos. Now, I'd like you to match the bank logos with the correct banks. And here, let me give you 30 seconds to do this. Okay then, let's check your answers. Now, let's take a look at them together. Now, the first one is called Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. The second, People's Bank of China. The third, Agricultural Development Bank of China. The fourth, China Construction Bank. Next, Bank of China. Next, China Merchants Bank. Next, Bank of Communications. And the last one, Agricultural Bank of China. Okay, so guys, have you gotten them all correct? Now, after getting to know all the banks, let me ask you this question. What banking services do you have with the following banks? Now, for me, I have two current accounts at the local branches of two of the big high street banks, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China and China Construction Bank. So here, current account means 活期账户. So I use these two current accounts for paying by debit card, 借记卡. And also I have a deposit account or savings account, 定期账户, at the local branch of China's Construction Bank for keeping money longer term. And then I have a credit card with China's Merchants Bank for buying things. Since I pay off what I spend each month, I don't really have to pay any interests. And lastly, the China Construction Bank that I have accounts with also provide internet banking. 网上银行. I can use it to manage my account sitting at home. Okay, that's all for me. Now let me ask you this. What type of bank accounts do you prefer? Great job. And so much for personal finance. Now, most of us are working now, and the rest of us are about to join the workforce. So, company finance is something that concerns us all. So, let's think about this. What qualities do you think a successful finance director needs to have? Now here, I have provided you with several qualities. And here, you need to choose the most important 3 qualities from the following. And here below we have careful, courageous, creative, enthusiastic, good at communicating, imaginative, impatient with details, and lastly, meticulous. So probably you will find the last word difficult to understand. So meticulous here means extremely careful and precise. Okay? So what are the 3 most important 3 qualities for a finance director in your mind? Great. Well, for me, the 3 qualities that I think are important for a successful finance director are careful, good at communicating, and meticulous. Alright then, so here we're about to read an article concerning a company's financial performance. But first of all, let's deal with some difficult words first. Now here, you can find the words on the screen. So please read after me. Creditor, creditor, revenue, revenue, overheads, overheads, debtor, debtor, net profit, net profit, gross profit, gross profit, operating profit, operating profit. Very good. Okay, so here I'd like you to match the financial terms with the correct definition. Okay, let's do this. Great job. Let's check your answers together. So the first one, a person or organization that owes money to the company is called debtor. Great, 债务人. And the second one, a person or organization that the company owes money to is called creditor. 债主. The third, the money that a company earns from its sales is called revenue. 收益. The first one, how much a company earns before certain costs and taxes are deducted, is called gross profit. Very good. 毛利率. The fifth one, the profit which comes from a company's usual activities of providing goods or services is called operating profit. 营业利润. The next one, how much a company earns after all the costs and taxes are deducted. So this one is called net profit, 净利润. And the last one, the costs of running the company, for example, rent, electricity, and water bills, etc. So this one is called, great, overheads, 日常开支. Okay. So to make sure that you have understood all the words correctly, now here let's do some exercises. Say, in the following sentences, one word does not make sense. So you need to identify the word and change it to another word from what you have learned to make a logical sentence. Okay, let's do this. Okay, now let's check your answers. Good. And here I'd like to say a few words about the second sentence. Say the company was very successful last year according to its revenue, right? So its revenue has increased a lot. And in this case, the word turnover has the same meaning as revenue. 收益。好，两个单词呢都会用来表示收益哈。Okay, so much for the words. Now here, the company that we're going to talk about is known for being secretive. Secretive, 神秘的。那我们接下来要读到的这家公司呢是非常的神秘哈，或者换句话说，他们的保密工作做得很好哈。Now here, let me ask you this. Which of the following types of information do you think a company does not usually share with the public and its employees? Say profits and losses in the past, future financial targets, recipes and manufacturing processes, ideas for new products, information about market share, staff qualifications and CVs or resumes, strategies. Let's think about this. Great job. So as we said, the company that we're about to read is known for his being secretive. In other words, the company is famous for keeping information secret. Alright? And the company that we're about to talk about is called Helma. So guys, have you heard about it? Now here, I'd like you to read the company biography and answer the following 3 questions. Okay then, let's take a look. Now the first question, what does Helma do? Great. So Helma is a group of engineering companies which makes health and safety products such as fire detectors. So this is what the company does. 好，这里我们注意一下哈，在描述这家公司到底做什么的时候呢，它用了这样一个动词 make。是指呢，他们会生产这样的产品。Now the second question, where is Helma's headquarters located? Headquarters means 总部. So where is Helma's headquarters located? Great, it's located in the UK. How do you know? Well, in the company biography it says it's based in the UK. Okay, be based in 其实就是在描述他们的总部在哪儿。HQ 在哪？ Okay. Now the last question, where are Helma's subsidiaries located? Now the word subsidiaries means 分公司 okay? So Helma's subsidiaries are located in Europe and the USA, right? How do we know? Yes, according to the company biography, it said it also has companies in Europe and the USA. 好，这一段公司简介哈，虽然说很简短，但是呢，却包含了大量的信息，而这里面的一些句型跟表达方式都是值得我们学习的。Okay then, now here I'd like you to use the template above to talk about your company. Say, what does your company do? Where is your company's headquarters located? And where are your subsidiaries? Okay, great job. Now you are ready to read this article. So here, let's first of all read the first two paragraphs to find out which two of the following activities Halma employees do. Ready? Here we go. Great job. So here, let's check your answers. So according to this article, Halma employees do develop ideas for future products and also put together the component parts for their products. And what they don't do is to make the component parts for their products. They don't make the component parts. 好，他们不会生产这个组件哈，而是由他们的 supplier 去做，好，外包了哈。So here, let's read the first paragraph one more time and answer the following question. Why did Halma's original chairman keep the group's management approach secretive? Let's take a look. Good. So the answer lies here. This is partly because the group's original chairman did not want to talk about its management approach because he was afraid other companies might copy it. OK， 确实是有这样的顾虑哈。如果你老是把自己以及自己的公司暴露在这个聚光灯之下，那么就很有可能一不小心，竞争对手就会捕捉到你的一些战略啊、一些策略以及一些运营方式，然后很有可能就会 copy 过来。但是呢，有的公司呢又很喜欢，而且很擅长把自己置于这个聚光灯之下，而且呢，把这个作为营销他们公司品牌的一种方式。比如说，最近你在读行业报纸或者说行业杂志的时候，你突然发现最近呢老是有这样的文章出现在你的面前哈。那么文章当中呢，一家名不见经传的这个刚刚成立的电商公司呢，老是和天猫啊或者说京东商城这样的电商相比哈。那这样的文章呢，其实很有可能就是这家名不见经传的电商公司自己个人写的，或者说就是自己写的哈。他通过不断的暴露自己，并且呢，不断的把自己跟这些电商老大哥相比较哈，那么久而久之呢，读者就会产生这样一种印象，这家新的电商公司呢是能够跟天猫或者说京东商城这些行业巨头相提并论的。那久而久之呢，它的这种品牌形象就树立起来了。Okay, that's it. Now here, let's come back to the paragraph here. Let's take a look at the first sentence. So Halma is an engineering group which specializes in products for the health and safety industry. 那么这句话哈，跟刚刚这个 company biography 的内容有些相似，是在介绍 Halma 到底是干什么的。那么在前面的 company biography 当中呢，是用了 make 这样一个词哈，生产。那么这里呢，它用的是 specialize. Okay, specialize here means to concentrate on a particular activity or product. Okay, 专业生产，专业提供。那我们在描述一个公司到底是做什么的时候呢，我们有这样一些词可以备用哈 ，specialize in, offer, provide, manufacture, make。那么值得注意的是 ，specialize in, offer 跟 provide 既可以用来指你公司是生产什么东西的，也可以说你公司是提供什么服务的。但是后面这几个哈 ，manufacture, make 更多的呢是用来说明你们公司是生产什么产品的。Okay, great job. So here, let's take a look at the second paragraph again and decide what the pronouns in bold refer to. Great. So here, let's check your answers. Great job. 好，我们在阅读跟公司或者说企业集团相关的文章的时候，就是要特别注意一下这些代词哈，这代词到底是指代什么？因为很多时候哈，不管是公司还是企业集团，我们既可以用单数形式 it 这样的代词来指代，也可以用复数形式的 they 来指代。那么在这个时候呢，我们就要弄明白这些代词到底指代的是什么东西。Okay, let's take a look at some linkage points in this part. So in this part, it talked about components parts, 组件 and also the final assembly, 最后的组装工作 and also put together, 也是在描述组装的这样一个概念。好，这里我们总结一下哈，一家公司或者说企业在生产某种产品的过程当中需要涉及到的一些词汇。好，我们要生产某样东西，那么总得要一些 inputs， 对不对？一些输入。那么有一些输入呢，我们才有可能有 outputs 产出。那么这些 inputs 可能会包括 raw materials. So it takes raw materials like steel, 钢筋 or plastic, 塑料 to make some of the components or parts used in its products. But materials and parts are just some of the inputs.The others are labor, say the workers and managers, and capital, which means money, and also knowledge. Knowledge is especially important if you are doing something concerning technology. And also, the products that are being made are called work in progress, 在制品. And lastly, the products that have been made are called finished goods, 成品. And here, let's take a look at some other phrases. The first one, rely on. The group relies on suppliers to make the component parts. Rely on means 依靠、依赖哈。好，刚刚已经提到了哈，他们把这种生产组件或者说零部件的这种工作呢，已经外包给这些供应商了。Its own workers are generally only concerned with the final assembly. Be concerned with means be involved in.The suppliers are not told what the parts that they supply to, nor how they are put together. So put together here means assemble. And last one, it's not in our interest to share this information. In one's interest means to the advantage of or for the sake of. For example, to think in the interest of the whole company. Okay, so much for the first two paragraphs. Now here,Let's scan the third paragraph and decide if the following sentences are true or false. Ready? Here we go. Okay, now let's check your answers. Great. Now here, let's focus on the language points in this part. So here, let's read this part and answer the question. What are the reasons for the rapid growth in turnover since 1993? Great. So here it says, part of Halma's success can be explained by tighter legislation over health and safety, which is being introduced all over the world. However, it's also due to its focus on the development of ideas. 好，大家注意一下这两个句型 can be explained by, be due to. 那么这样两个句型呢，是可以用来描述成功的原因。那么同时呢，我们注意一下这段文章的一个结构哈。那么开篇呢，它是用数字来说明 The financial year has been a success. 好，先是拿数据说话，那么紧接着呢，用两个句型 can be explained by, be due to 来说明成功背后的原因。好，我们看一下这里的这个 term 哈 ，financial year. So financial year means fiscal year in the American English. 那么这个呢，在金融领域用的呢是比较多。那么这种 financial year 财政年，很多时候呢跟我们这个日历当中的一年、两年是不一样的哈。财政年它的这个周期算的周期呢也是12个月。 只是呢，起点不一定就是从1月开始，有的公司呢是从3月开始，那么有的公司呢，像这个 Helma 是从4月开始。Okay, so much for this part. Now here, let's read this part and answer the question. What's behind Helma's success in terms of high return on capital? And I encourage you to answer the question by using the two phrases below. Okay, great job. So here, first of all, a large part of Helma's success in terms of high return on capital can be explained by the fact that the company does not manufacture its own parts, but outsource it. And another factor of Helma's success is due to its good relationship with its customers. Okay, that's for this question. Now here, let's take a look at the phrase convert into. So here, line 3, this is largely because the company does not manufacture its own parts. 好，前面我们已经提到了哈 ，Helma 这家公司呢，他们是不自己生产这个零部件，而是呢外包给了其他的供应商。那么他们为什么要这么做呢？因为啊，如果你一个公司什么事都是亲力亲为哈，这些零部件都是自己掏钱生产的话，那么你就第一生产线可能会拉得很长，那么第二呢，可能现金流可能周转的就不是那么快了。And here, convert into means change from to. Okay, so much for this part. Now here, let's take a look at some words on business finance. So first of all, if you are setting up a company, then you need to have capital. 你需要一定的资金来创建这个公司，那同时呢，使这个公司周转下去。那么这些 capital 这些资金从哪儿来呢？一部分呢是从这个 shareholders 身上来，这些原始的股东哈 ，and we call it share capital。那么一部分呢是通过公司发行一些债务，一些 debt， 一些 bonds， 一些债券哈，那或者说向银行贷款 loans，OK， 那么这些呢就构成了公司最原始的、最初的资金。那么对于一个公司来说呢，它所有的收入我们都可以称为 revenue。那么 revenue 这些收入再去除它的成本，包括在行政开支啊或者其他费用的开支啊这些 expense 之后呢，就是它的 profits。那么公司的利润怎么分配呢？那么一部分呢是要给股东分红，对不对 ？dividends。那公司呢还要给政府缴税 tax。那么最后呢自己再保留一部分资金哈 retained earnings。Okay, that's all for the words on business finance. And so much for the first part. 一起来做个小练习吧。
And I'm pleased to report that here at WTM, our market share has increased by 10%, taking us ahead of our rivals PTA for the first time. Of course, AVC are still the market leaders with a 55% share. Figures published today by the Falmouth Group received a mixed reaction. Although production costs increased at a slower rate during the second half of the year, profits continued to fall.
Now here, let's quickly go through the second part of today's class, how to present the financial performance of your company. So we're about to listen to a presentation, but before we listen, let's do some vocabulary task. So here on the screen, you can see 6 terms. Okay, guys, please read after me. Cash flow, deficit, return on sales, acquisition, takeover, subsidiary. Great job. So here, please match each of the words and phrases with the correct definition. Okay, let's do this. Great job. So here, let's check the answers together. Now the first definition, an amount of money that's owed. So this one is called deficit, 赤字。那么在说赤字的时候呢，在生活美语当中我们会说 in the red，OK？We're in the red， 表示现在呢是赤字哈。那么跟它相对应的呢是 surplus， 盈余。那么盈余呢在日常的表达当中我们有 in the black，We are in the black。Now buying of one company by another company is takeover or acquisition. And next, payments coming into and going out of the business like a river is called cash flow, 现金流。那么这里呢要提到一点就是，如果你是这个 financial director， 那么到了一个你们公司的财政年末的时候呢，你需要向你们公司的股东啊，或者说老总啊，去汇报你们公司的这样一个财政的情况哈。我们通常呢会把这种汇报叫做 annual report。那么在这种年度的财政报告当中呢，通常会有3个指标。那么第一个呢就是 cash flow statement， 现金流量表。那么第二个呢是 profit and loss account， 损益账户。那么第三个呢就是 balance sheet， 资产负债表。Now the next definition, a company which is owned or more than 50% owned by another company. And this one is called subsidiary. And the last one, the percentage that is earned by selling the product. So this one is called return on sales. Okay, so much for the words. Now let's do the listening. Let's listen to part of a presentation by a finance director. Look at the topics below, then write a number in the boxes to show which order the finance director speaks about them. Ready? Here we go.
So turning now to our financial performance for this year, 2006, I am pleased to report very impressive results. Great, actually, despite the problems in the world economy. I think we can confidently say we are going into next year in a very strong position. The turnover for the whole year was £32.4 million, and we've continued to enjoy a high rate of profitability. If you look at the bar chart on the screen, you can see that in 2005, the return on sales was 17%, and that figure has remained exactly the same this year. I actually think that is a very good result, because about a quarter of turnover is in US dollars. 2006, as you know, saw a very weak dollar, and so changing the dollars into euros affected the figures quite a bit. Turning now to cash flow, our performance this year was very good. Free cash flow reached 31 million euros, which even beats our previous record of 29 million euros. The company carries out a valuation of the group pension scheme every 3 years, so it was due in 2006. If you look at the next chart, you'll see that scheme is 72% funded, compared with 95% at the time of the previous valuation 3 years ago. This is because we've been getting lower returns on some of our investments. We have therefore increased the financial contribution to the scheme, and under our current plans, the deficit will be eliminated over a 12-year period. Finally, our new subsidiary, which I know Carlos will want to say more about. We had a few problems leading up to the acquisition, and a bit of a crisis in July, but in the end, it all went through in September as planned. In the 6 months we have owned it, it delivered 1.8 million euros to group profits. A very strong acquisition, which I'm sure...
Okay, great job. Now here, let's check your answers. So after listening to this presentation, I'd like to ask you this question. Is the company's financial performance good or bad? Okay, so apparently the company's financial performance is good. And also, the presenter seems to have done a great job in the presentation, right? But how did she do it? Let's take a look. 好，我们看一下第一部分。
So, turning now to our financial performance for this year, 2006, I am pleased to report very impressive results. Great, actually, despite the problems in the world economy. I think we can confidently say we are going into next year in a very strong position.
那么第一部分呢，这个 presenter 是从整体这个宏观的角度来概述了一下今年他们公司的财政状况是怎么样的。So turning now to our financial performance for this year, 2006, I am pleased to report very impressive results. 那么这里呢，大家要注意一下最后一句话。I think we can confidently say we're going into next year in a very strong position. Here, in a strong position means in a good place. For example, we're in a strong position to win the negotiation. We're in a good place to win the negotiation. Now here, let's listen to the next part of the presentation and fill in the blanks. Ready? Here we go.
The turnover for the whole year was £32.4 million, and we've continued to enjoy a high rate of profitability. If you look at the bar chart on the screen, you can see that in 2005, the return on sales was 17%, and that figure has remained exactly the same this year. I actually think that is a very good result, because about a quarter of turnover is in US dollars. 2006, as you know, saw a very weak dollar, and so changing the dollars into euros affected the figures quite a bit.
Okay, now let's check your answers. 好，我们看这一段。那么之前呢，这个 presenter 是从一个宏观的角度概述了他们公司今年这个财政年的一个财政的状况。那么从这一部分开始呢，他开始提这个他们公司的 revenue 收益。那么在谈这个收益情况的时候呢，他首先也是总体的概述一下今年这个收益情况到底是怎么样的。首先到底是多少 is 32.4 million pounds。而紧接着呢，他用一个描述性的语言来描述他们这个收益情况到底好不好。And we've continued to enjoy a high rate of profitability. 好，大家注意一下这个动词enjoy。我们在描述一个公司取得不错业绩的时候呢，通常会用这样个 enjoy 这样的动词。好，整体交代完之后呢，他再用具体的数据来说话。我们可以想象一下这个 presenter。这个时候呢，应该会做一个手势指向这个屏幕上的 bar chart. If you look at the bar chart on the screen, you can see that in 2005, the return on sales was 17%, and that figure has remained exactly the same this year. 那么我们同样也可以设想，这个 presenter 所用到的这个 bar chart 跟我们屏幕上所显示的这个 bar chart 有相似之处好，用数据说明了具体的细节信息之后呢，再来表达他个人的观点I actually think that's a very good result because about a quarter of turnover is in US dollars. 2006, as you know, saw a very weak dollar. 好，2006年美元是比较的疲软。好，像这样的句型 ，2006 saw a very weak dollar or witnesses a very weak dollar。在我们这种商务类文章当中是经常见的。我们通常呢会用这样的句型来表明，这一年发生了什么。Okay, so much for this part. Now here, let's listen to the next part of presentation and fill in the blanks. Ready? Here we go.
Turning now to cash flow, our performance this year was very good. Free cash flow reached 31 million euros, which even beats our previous record of 29 million euros.
Okay, now let's check your answers. Now here, let's take a look at the language points in this part. So here, in this part, I'd like you to focus on the word beat. Beat means 打败、击败。好，我们今天的现金流呢是达到了3100万欧元这样一个峰值。那这样的成绩呢是超过了我们之前的2900万欧元的这样一个记录。Okay, that's all for this part. Now here, let's listen to the last part of the presentation and fill in the blanks. Ready? Here we go.
Finally, our new subsidiary, which I know Carlos will want to say more about. We had a few problems leading up to the acquisition, and a bit of a crisis in July, but in the end, it all went through in September as planned. In the 6 months we have owned it, it delivered 1.8 million euros to group profits. A very strong acquisition, which I'm...
Okay, now let's check your answers. 好，在介绍完了这个公司的收益情况 turnover 以及现金流情况 cash flow 以及这个 pension scheme 养老金计划之后呢，我们最后来说一说这个公司的 acquisition or takeover 收购项目的一些情况。那这里呢，他提到了 we had a few problems leading up to the acquisition。好，收购的成功呢不是一蹴而就的，因为在这个过程当中出现了一系列的问题。Lead up to means to result in by a series of steps。那么同时7月份还出现了一次危机哈 ，but in the end it all went through in September as planned。但是在9月份的时候，我们还是按照计划完成了这项收购。So here went through, go through means to perform. Okay, that's all for this part. Now here, I'd like you to talk about your company. Say, how was the financial performance of your company last year? Do you know about it? So try present it by using what you have learned in today's class. 一起来做个小练习吧。Very good job and welcome back. Now here, let's have a review of today's class together. So in today's class, we talked about company performance. And in the first part of today's class, we talked about personal finance. And then we talked about the successful financial performance of the group Helma. And lastly, we studied a financial performance presentation. Alright guys, let's call it a day and thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next class. Bye!